In the days of old, the sorcerers of Riverlong cured the sick and healed the wounded through a great power called Source. But a terrible darkness invaded the land, and Source was forever tainted. The sorcerers who once healed now only destroy, and madness has overtaken them. A few brave Source hunters are all that stand between Riverlon and the dark power that threatens to destroy it. Wherever Source appears, hunters follow.
Rise and shine, Master Source Hunters. The cam wants you up on deck. Hear them gulls? Means we're close to shore. I don't ever you go in there, Master Source Hunters. City's full of undead, hungry enough for blood. But you're supposed to investigate that murder, ain't you? They say it's Source that did the Counselor in. Source in a city like Sicil, nowhere safe anymore. Here they are, Captain Sir.
God's blessings on you, hunters. You'll be happy to hear we've reached Sicil. But there's trouble offshore, so we'll have to sail in carefully. Here, have a look. Those are orc ships, and they're blocking our passage. We'll get you as close to the city as we can, and drop you off in the beach. Be wary now. Orcs are on the attack. Undead have closed every route out, and there's a sorcerer on the loose. If we're to get justice for the Counselor, you'll have to keep your wits about you. May the luck of the gods be with you both, Source Hunters.
If I didn't know there were orc ships raiding to the west, I'd mistake this for a placid beach.
At least the orcs make a bit of noise when they attack. It's dark-dealing sorcerers that'll strike with neither warning nor mercy.
Is that a corpse? What's it doing here alone?
What? Did you expect it to have an entourage? This. The man jumped off a cliff at the behest of some statues of all things.
Well, great deeds require the occasional leap of faith. I myself might have done the same.
True enough. History is made by those willing to risk it all.
Hunters, how did they find us?
Take the stone to the temple. These whelps will be easy to crush.
As you say, Madam Conduit.
Rise, fair dead! Seize upon our enemies!
Their leader said something about escaping with a stone.
Stolen from this dungeon, I imagine. Can we get inside? Those thieves were more than petty criminals. Their leader gave life to the dead. What stone could they have been so keen on taking?
We can't well turn away from such an odious show of source. Let's investigate the tomb and see what answers it might reveal.
Indeed. For all we know, these dark-dealing thieves may be involved with Councillor Jake's murder.
Do you like shiny gems as much as those other fellows? I admit the king's stone was pretty, but hardly as tasty as a nice crumb of stale bread. Oh well, whatever tickles your whiskers.
There's a mine in the middle of our path.
Someone must have an interest in protecting whatever's kept here.
I was really hoping to find something better. I've always heard there's typically more to a king's tomb than meets the eye.
It could be a myth, or it could be our lucky day.
I've spotted something interesting. Short work of that door, but I don't imagine our weapons would survive such use for long. I've spotted a trap. I found something. I think I hear voices downstairs.
The last thing we need is to surprise another angry summoner. Something isn't right here. It could be an ambush.
guess someone else got here first.
A living rat dares disturb the slumber of the dead? A thieving fool insults the sanctity of the grave. The bloodstone defiler, where is it? In life, I toil to care for these holy grounds. In death, I protect them from profaners and poachers. The legacy of Cecile is mine to preserve. Her traitors are mine to destroy. I suppose you only crept among these sacred tombs for leisure. I suppose you had no lust for the treasure of the dead. Ha! Strange indeed. Robed indeed. Your tricks will not save you from retribution, deceiver. The Bloodstone, deliver it now, and I may deign to end you quickly. Run if you like, defiler. Whichever way you take leads you to the grave.
No glory in this death.
Death never dies, fool. Death in 1,000 forms rules all.
Here lies Master Ragequin's second apprentice, killed by dying. Here lies Master Ragequin's first apprentice, killed by a falling corpse.
shell's lament, yield me unto the water. Look, look, a wanderer comes my way, walking the sands upon which this poor shell must suffer. Call me Ishmael, son of the sea, an outcast upon these wretched shores. An exiled shell, doomed to live under a canopy of arid sky, not his native, tender water. Of course I can talk, don't be silly. There's more tongue to me than heart. Indeed, the surprise should be mine, for I still remember the days when your kind swung from branches and plucked the vermin out of their neighbor's fur. Time is an indulgent mistress to one who spends happy hours as she passes. But when your existence is one of misery, she becomes a lethargic hobby. Oh, I remember ancient times, for I have lain here since antiquity, when the ruins around us were palaces, and the sun-bleached dead merry children. All this I have seen, alive, alone. Alas, my fate is a cruel one, I assure you. How many snot-noses have held me up against their dirty little ears, only to claim they can hear the ocean? Of course they can hear her, the brats. We are on the very edge of the great aquatic mother, whose embrace I so desperately long for. Yes, yes, I, King of Pearls, ache to repose anew on his coral throne. Hurl me toward the water. Swing me as far as your arm's strength gives release, and treasure long sunk I will grant thee. What do you say, kind knight? Will you return the King of Pearls to the sea, so he may yield you long-lost treasure?
Kindness is its own reward. Then there's the promise of treasure to boot. Let's throw him into the sea.
Agreed. Let's send him home.
Liberator, kind benefactor, bless me the might of your sea-bound bitch. The sea, I have returned, where every wave feels like a mermaid's kiss. May the bounty of the deep be yours, along with my eternal gratitude.
Hold it right there, orc scum! No one slips past the Legion unchallenged.
Calm down, Junius. Doesn't look like one of them orcs to me. Not a single horn in sight, you know.
Just hold your tongue, will you, Bibius? Can't be too careful. We are sworn to protect Scythiel. We're legionnaires, of course. On the lookout for orcs, for they've been attacking from the sea. God knows why they do it, but we stand firm. We of the Legion, liberators of Riverlon.
Liberators of liquor too, aren't we, old chum?
Shh! Just pipe down, will you, Bibius? Aye, a noble word for watchdog, that. For that is what we do. Watch over the local dogs that ever so often aim for one another's throat, and separate them to keep the peace. Separate by the sword, that is.
Best way to calm a wily dog is to neuter it. Ha! Spay for pay. Legion's motto.
Just put a sock in it, will you, Benius?
Ever kept the watch? Stood on the lookout for hours on end, bored stiff. Boredom's a demon buddy, and booze is the demon hunter. There. I do declare it's time for this hunter to take another shot. Huzzah! So, you're sorcerers, are you? And how are we supposed to verify that's true? We can't read, my friend. So for all we know, those papers say you're a polymorph parrot on the lookout for a two-bedroom birdcage. They don't prove a thing.
You know what? We'll take you two to the wizard. I know he reads. He has books large as a house, that one. Yeah, he'll squeeze the truth out of you, one way or another.
I don't need an escort, especially not a drunken one. Back off or face me.
And face me, too. You two are a disgrace to your uniforms.
You defy the Legion, will you? The punishment for that offence is...
Well, there we have it. 2 dead Legionnaires.
This feels wrong. We really shouldn't have.
I think you're right. We had no real reason to kill them, and yet we did. In cold blood. Wait, did you see that? Those orcs had a human commander.
Where are Bibius and
How very
Julius?
curious.
They hear the
And
fight.
how very disquieting.
One day coming. Vengeance will be beasts, I'll kill the last one of you.
What's all this ruckus? Sounded worse than a dozen tomcats fighting over the world's last mackerel. Ah, but I see we've suffered another orc landing. And judging by the relative ease with which it was dispatched, I can only come to one conclusion. Source hunters have arrived in Sicil. You're as welcome as a glass of cooled milk on a hot day, my friend. I'm Ahu, at your service. It was I who requested your presence in this troubled city. So you were, and so you weren't. Behold, there we are. Meet my other half, hunter. Ha ha! No need to look so flabbergasted. I may be a wizard rife with tricks and guile, but I assure you my plea is an earnest one. So, now that the cat is out of the bag, let us turn to the matter of Councillor Jake's murder. It's hard to put my finger on it, but I can feel in my very whiskers that sorcery was at play. Visit the scene of the crime, and I'd bet sardines for salad you'll say the same. Captain Aureus, though, the local commander of the Legion, insists I'm seeing ghosts. I insist he's blind to all but the undead. Jake was murdered in a downstairs room of the King Crab Inn, up in Sicil proper. The Legion keeps it under lock and key, though, so you'll need Aureus's permission should you want to have a peek. So there are, or rather, there is. Popular opinion has it his wife did the deed, but to be frank, I have my doubts. She seems a likely candidate, to be sure, but that would make her a sorceress. Esmeralda knows how to charm, yes, but I just don't see her magic extend beyond a frolicsome look and wink. Still, don't simply take my word for it, Hunter. It may be well worth your while to cross-examine her yourself. The Legion has her under guard in her shop near the town square. That's where you'll find poor Jake's widow. A human, you say? Truly? But that would be like a kitten leading a wolf pack. And yet, I have heard rumors about a sect of sorts, a shadowy set of worshippers that associate even with orcs. Some say they're sorcerers, but people will say that about anyone who behaves a bit strangely nowadays. I don't quite know what to make of this news, but thank you for informing me. It'd be foolish to dismiss such a curious event out of hand. Ah, the undead. They've been clawing their way out of the ground for 2 years now. And for 2 years the stalemate between them and the living has been dragging on at a weary pace indeed. The Legion did a good job keeping them at bay, but I think it's fair to say that without my magic-infused ballistae, they'd have gotten the better of us by now. Someone is responsible for the outbreak. Necromancers are at work, but who are they and where do they hide? Alas, that searching for them is like searching for a single louse in a lion's mane. Unfortunately, that is absolutely correct. The orc siege is yet another hairball stuck in this city's already choking throat, and it shows no signs of abating. We've cordoned off the western beach where most orc activity has been reported. For the 9 lives of me, I can't seem to figure what they're doing here. There's nothing of interest along the waterfront, except for a set of caves with an unfavorable reputation. Maybe they're after some pirate's treasure, the fools. Oh, but that's not a trick. It's a blessing. Or does it surprise you that I enjoy taking a feline guise? Such magic is a gift, Hunter. To tread upon the realm of instinct. Even articulate speech, perhaps humanity's greatest asset, cannot give expression to something so inextricably innate. To be out in the night, to stalk on silent paws and hunt with only the moon as your witness. You couldn't possibly imagine the thrill. But of course, it's handy to speak in more than meows. And I couldn't brew potions or make machines without opposable thumbs. This I freely admit. Let's just say I have found a way to enjoy the best of 2 worlds. I'm glad we've met, Source Hunter, and I'm certain we have a lot more to talk about. Feel free to visit me whenever you want. I've set up a workshop in the Legion's headquarters. Once you're there, just take the stairs, but do pay a visit to Aureus first. He may bark like a beagle with its tail stuck in the door, but you won't get very far in your investigation without speaking to the de facto leader of Sicil. And with that, I bid you adieu, Hunter. Adieu and good luck. May your enemies prove to be mere mice, and you the dauntless mouser.
Sex, undead, orcs. Looks like we have our work cut out for us.
At least we won't be bored. How about we go see that Aureus chap Ahu mentioned?
Really? The greatest warriors in Rivellon can't cross a rope?
Salutations! Source hunters, I see. I'm Sergeant Courteous, proud protector of this house of Legion goods. Courteous is my name, the Legion is my calling. This is a storing house for Legion supplies, perhaps the most important building in the realm, by my and others' estimation. And I, Sergeant Courteous, have been trusted to guard it.
who better than a proven orc crusher to convince my dumbbell of a friend here that orcs are predators, not pets?
Enough of that. I know how dangerous an orc can be, but this one has been reformed. Anyone can see that she's completely docile, but my prejudiced friend here still wants to kill her. My friend here and I were patrolling outside the city walls, when who did I see creeping along the shore but this lovely orcish lady? For a brief second, as long as eternity, we locked eyes. Perhaps confused by the butterflies in her stomach, she sprang up and began running, claws bared towards Marius. Fortunately for him, I had the presence of mind to ignore my sword and instead adroitly fling my pouch of trinkets towards her. A vial of love potion shattered over her head, and when she turned to face me, she became instantly enamored. I'm sure she must have been compelled to join the Orcish army under some kind of duress. A lady with such a sweetly savage manner would never willingly join up with those vicious marauders.
Ha! I can assure you there wasn't a hint of sweetness in those murderous eyes when she lunged at my throat. She may be confined here for now, but who's telling when she'll escape and who she'll rip to shreds? You see, he'd believe it was noon at midnight if he read it on a printed pamphlet. Please tell me you can reason with him, or ditch reason and use your sword to shave him from his murderous darling.
Let her live. If that potion were truly worthless, it wouldn't have been able to charm her in the first place. In this docile state, she may prove to be a source of valuable information.
You're right. The information she provides could well turn the tides here in Sicil.
Bravo! I trust not only the potion, but my scaly sweetheart in and of herself.
You're going to regret this. We're all going to regret this.
One day, Moira. One day you'll show 'em all.
Say, no one's around. You wouldn't raise a fuss if I, borrowed one of these fish, would you?
Borrow, indeed. I'll sooner meet a cat wizard than see that merchant repaid.
Come now, I'll be good for it, I swear! I never would have dreamt of resorting to petty theft during better times, but what choice have I got now? If it's steal or starve, I'll choose steal. So what do you think? Should I snag a fish?
That merchant has to eat too, you know. Leave the fish alone.
Yes, you know what they say about giving a man a fish. This man should learn to stand on his own 2 feet.
I suppose you've got a point. Another day, another rumbling belly. Never fed a hungry man, you know. A good day to you.
I hope your quest fares well, dear hunter. But certainly. What would you like to know? Oh, I am but a wizard, a guardian of man and beast, and indeed I am both. My body, like any other, is bound to temporal decay. But my spirit is a speck of light that shone forth from the eternal sun that is the cosmic soul. My task upon this earth is to protect the heart of nature, the very antithesis of which is the intrigue spun by demons and directors of the dead. Hence my involvement in Sicil. You see, my one desire is to witness a world in which every mother looks around her and purrs with calm contentment, for she knows that her chicks or children, her cubs or calves, will grow up without knowing the meaning of menace, the enfeeblement of fear. To my great regret, none of them purr as yet. Oh, that'll never happen. Granted, a witch could make the polymorph permanent if she'd enchant me in my cat guise, but I'll just have to be careful around witches, won't I? I'm my own wizard, you know, and I don't intend to become anyone's familiar. By all means. Of course, I hope your investigation fares well. I can but piece together what few morsels fell from the grapevine into a rather disappointing meal, I'm afraid. They say a woman arrived in the King Crab Inn sometime after midnight. She retired to a room on the ground floor where she was soon joined by a man who had been nursing the same cup of wine for hours. I say man and woman because both of them were cloaked and recognized by none. About an hour later, another figure arrived, headed for the same room. Soon after, a terrible commotion erupted and the thundering light of magic was witnessed by the few remaining patrons. It took a while for the landlord to pluck up the courage to enter the mystery room. When finally he did, he found Jake there, dead. How and why he came to be there, no one knows. But I had a good look around the scene of the crime before the Legion barred anyone from entering. The traces of magic I felt were vile. Source, no doubt. I myself have none, even though the rest of the town has already mentally tried and convicted Jake's wife Esmeralda. Now, it may well be established that she is in fact the guilty party. I'm not claiming that I'm certain she's innocent, but let's just say that if I really thought this murder case would be so very easily resolved, I wouldn't have sent for source hunters. I can't say much more, but that they're madmen, all the more dangerous to us because of their alliance with what should be a natural enemy. You won't see me teaming up with a terrier in a hurry. But certainly. What would you like to know? And what might those be? Those who are raising the dead dwell among us. They simply must be. But even though I've spent many a night leaping from tree to rooftop, watching on as citizens stagger home from the inn or simply burn the midnight oil, I haven't spied a single soul worthy of true suspicion. The enemy is wily. They know us better than we know them, and they've found ways to avoid both detection and distrust. And yet, I am somehow convinced that you may succeed where the Legion and I have failed. Call it instinct. You have a flair for understatements, Hunter. I'm sure they are but a minor nuisance in the eyes of a born warrior. But to the Legion, they are green-skinned death incarnate. Until they conclude what mischief they intend to see through, or, less likely, they are conclusively defeated, we can but bar the gates and hole up like mice while the cats are on the prowl. Oh, a mere trifle for one with the intellect of a feline and the engineering skills of a human. You basically construct a classic ballista, add a 100% legally obtained self-regenerating source of destructive magic to it, and Bobcat's your uncle.
we here, then? A so-called source hunter, eh? Well, look, do what you must in Scythiel, but don't make waves and don't interfere with the Legion's affairs, you hear? I'm Captain Aureus, if you must know, leader of the Legion in Scythiel, by which I mean I have the enviable task of commanding a battalion of walking dead. For I fear it may well be but a matter of time before the undead undo all my soldiers and turn them into drivelling hordes of their own misshapen number. Gods above! Some politician snuffs it and everyone's in an uproar. Ridiculous! I told that wizard brat of an Ahu not to bother, but he just had to send for source hunters, didn't he? Bloody magicians. They see a pigeon poop and think sorcery's afoot. Nevertheless, I want to be kept in the loop. Understand? I am in command of this town, not Mayor Cecil, not Ahu, and definitely not some hotshot source hunter. So investigate Jake's death if you feel so inclined, but report back to me the moment you discover something out of the ordinary. The scene of the crime is over at the King Crab Inn. You can tell the guard you have my permission to enter. Now off with you! Esmeralda is Jake's wife. Well, widow. Everyone in town, down to the crabs on the beach, is convinced she killed him. Now, the girl has the reputation of being a flirt. There is that. But that doesn't suffice as evidence, wouldn't you say? Or do source hunters rely on hearsay alone, perhaps? That certainly would explain some of the cock-ups you lot have made in the past. What? You're going to stand there and claim with a straight face your order never wrongly tortured and executed anyone? Hardly. But I won't stand for such nonsense. If you bring evidence before me, I'll evaluate it with perfect objectivity. The Legion relies on reason, see? Not idle superstition. If you must. Bravo! Figured that one out, did you? I hadn't been stuck here for 2 years because we're being besieged by fluffy kittens, you know. Those brain-feasting freaks out there keep on coming, and it takes all the sword arms and all of Ahu's half-baked contraptions to keep them at bay. Keeping them at bay, that is all we do. Were that I could break their backs once and for all. How am I enjoying it? Are you spoiling for a fight, Hunter? Are you? Scythiel stinks of fish, reeks of orcs, and on a good day the wind disperses the stench of decomposing corpses. I can't remember the last time I had a proper piece of steak, and by now I retch at the mere sight of sardines. So in conclusion, I am not enjoying Scythiel. We are the pride of Rivellon, to be found and to be seen everywhere. We don't hide in the dark and lurk in corners like some I could mention. No, we protect the civilized from the barbaric, and we do so impeccably. I'd say they are looking for weak spots in our defenses. They can't make an attack over land for fear of Ahu's magical machines, so they're trying their luck by sea. They won't succeed, though. Not against the Legion. Yes, and he also spends most of his time in the guise of a cat, licking gods knows which body parts. Sects, sorcerers. He'll be seeing flying carpets next.
Who's that then? Come on, stand where my good eye can see you.
Easy, Tull. That's the source hunter you're talking to.
She may have the look of a woman if you squint hard enough, but she's no more than a wild animal. We got reports of a strange-looking outsider skulking through the town with her bow drawn. I found her crouched behind a tree, taking aim at a fat old rat trotting along the city walls. I tapped her on the shoulder to see what was what, and the beast startled like a wild cat and lunged right at me.
Bit Tullia right in the face, she did. It wasn't pretty, and now it's got a chunk ripped off it to boot.
Enjoy it while you can, Ver. There's not another legionnaire in the cohort that'll have you if I go rabid.
Well, that's to be decided. She doesn't seem to be sick, despite Tully's moaning. We can't keep her here forever, but we can't well send her into the wilds again, can we?
Perhaps it'd be worth taking this stranger under our wing. She'll likely come in handy if we can trust her to watch our backs.
After all, a fearless hunter might prove quite useful for our investigation.
Well, that's a relief, ain't it? We found a good home for her after all, Tull.
Heed me, Source Hunter. She's not good for anything more than cannon fodder. And don't turn your back on her when she's got that bow within arm's reach.
Source Hunter. I have heard tales both grand and terrible about the world of humans. I myself was caged one moment and freed the next by our kind. In Home Forest, every creature acts according to the nature of its kind. Birds frighten easily, badgers fear little. But amongst men, there are no guarantees. It is difficult for me to claim humanity as you do. I am still learning to see myself in the faces of those I meet. And those I meet do not always see themselves in me. It is strange to stand with one foot in the forest and the other in the city, Source Hunter. I am glad that now I have you standing beside me. You say you will take me under your wing. But I see no feathers. Are you a child of the birds, as I am of the bears? And so the lonely babe was fed upon the wild mother's milk, and cast aside from humankind, he thrived among his mother's ilk. So says the saga of Thris. Do you know it? The wise godwolf Amira raised the child Thris among her litter. So you see, I have good company. Thris the wolfson, and I the bear daughter. In truth, this is a relief. Your world is made with rules I have not yet memorized. I am happy to have a friend in such a place. Ask freely, my friend. Your city is far more wild than Home Forest. In Home Forest, the rules are clear. In Home Forest, your strength and speed determine your fate. Here, a tiny screech woman, no swifter than a mudworm, might confine you into a tiny cage, and one must wait for a kind stranger to grant freedom. Jarrett, wise Jarrett, taught me the bird songs of our people. If not for him, I would never have learned more than the beasts could teach me. A beast's life is to survive. A human's is to know. I am both beast and human, and so I must do both. I have learned all the bird song that Jarrett could teach. I remembered every word. These tales have brought me much pleasure. The remembering of the beasts is without lies. We know not to approach the wasp's nest because long ago one bear mother discovered its dangers. This she taught to her cubs, and those cubs taught the next. We do not remember Rito and the battle of the buzzing brutes. We remember only what is useful to us now. Rito will be forgotten. The beauty of the story will be forgotten. But the lesson will not. It is different between beasts and humans. I am lucky to enjoy both ways. He came to me when I was small. A fierce, wild one, yet unaware of the difference between the other cubs and herself. He called to me in a soft song. At first I thought him a great bird. We each reached out to the other. We found each other. Jarrett visited me often. And in time I learned his songs and more. When he built a small cabin within Home Forest, I hunted his food and fetched his water by day while he studied his books and his magics. By night, by the fire, he'd tell me tales of the world of people. Jarrett is my master and my friend, my teacher and myself. I heard this was a place of many people, so here I came. I have seen more faces here in a day than I had seen in all the days of my life together. But I have not found the face I seek. Jarrett is missing. It is my duty to find him. That mystery is thick and ugly as a swarm of hornets. It started with a great disturbance in Home Forest. A terrible disease came in the night and turned the birds and beasts soft and foul as carrion while they still lived. I watched countless of my loved ones die, rotted from the inside. When I ran to Jarrett to tell him what I had seen, his reaction was strange. He had no answer. The next morning, Jarrett did not emerge from his room. I left him be, but after 3 days I grew anxious. I broke down the door and inside his chamber was nothing. His equipment, his books, all but some scraps of parchment were gone. He was kidnapped and all his research was taken with him. The only clue I found was a letter among the scraps. I could not make out all the words, but I recognized the threat. Death, coming for you. And the signature? Attenborough. I do not know the one called Attenborough, but I know that if I am to find Jarrett, I must start there. Whoever this Attenborough may be, I believe he or she may know where Jarrett has been taken.
What sort of arrows do you want? Freezing? Silver? Poison? Get to the point.
Well, hello there.
Fresh haddock. Perfect for a fryer.
Let us see if you can choose the finest greens.
Well, hello there.
What are ye staring at?
Captain Jack's the name, though the title may be a little generous at the moment. My crew ran off, and I can't find enough hardy souls to help me reload the ship and sail off. Those scallywags heard there be silver in the Lacula mines, and they abandoned ship like the lily-livered turkeys they are. Haven't seen them since the day we docked.
A good day to you.
Ah, gracious patron, I see your tired eyes looking a bit teary. I've just the potion for that. Or would you prefer a toasty fire spell to dry those vapors?
Good day to you.
Looks like that dog is awfully agitated.
Hey, wow! I was wondering where that awesome sweaty boot smell was coming from. And here you are. Wow! This is great! I'm Murphy, Jake's dog. Wow, you smell great! Have you been rolling around on dead things all day? That's my favourite hobby too. You know who I miss? Jake. Sometimes he'd just sit there being awesome. And I'd give him this look like, you smell great. And he'd give me this look like, you do too, Murphy. And he was my best friend. I came here so I could smell Jake again. He smelled great. But whatever's buried there doesn't smell like Jake at all. No, it's definitely not Jake. He was awesome. If I ever find out who killed Jake, the most awesome Jake who ever jaked, I'll bark so much. Seriously, so much. You have no idea.
Here lies Jake. Please do not disturb.
What trickery is this? That's not Jake.
It's a rotting sheep's corpse. It seems someone snatched Jake's body.
More.
begin.
You see a shady-looking figure fishing coins of gold out of the muddy water that pools beneath the well overhead. His movements are quick and nervous, but nevertheless, he seems to enjoy stuffing what cash he can find into the many pockets of his shabby garb. So absorbed is he in his coin hoarding that at first he doesn't notice your presence. Suddenly, though, he pauses, looks up, and quick as a cat its talons, readies 2 daggers. Your friendly tone of voice has immediate effect. The man quickly relaxes his aggressive stance, sheathes his weapons, and pulls a quill and a scrap of parchment out of one of his pockets. Dexterously, he writes down a couple of phrases, then holds it out for you to read.
Mute, can't speak. You look professional. You the source hunter the wizard asked for?
Excitedly, the man turns over the scrap and pens a few more lines.
Name's Walgraf. I admire you. No hero like source hunter. Sysil, dead end. Please let me join you.
Walgraf nods enthusiastically and pulls a couple of ripped parchment pieces out from his vestments. Hastily, he covers them with words and pushes them in your hands, one after the other.
Been mute since I was a kid. Sorcerers took my voice. People think I'm stupid. I'm not. Get money, food where I can. Steal if I must. Not from poor folks. I'm a good sneak, good fighter, good with locks. See things you don't. Want to help you. I'm useful. Want to catch sorcerers. Make them pay. Please.
Walgraf eagerly catches your gaze with the best puppy eyes imitation he can muster.
I could use someone with your specific type of expertise. Consider yourself hired.
Be welcome, Walgraf. Riches await, if you'll obtain them for us.
Walgraf smiles and shakes your hand in thanks. With a gesture of the arm, he seems to say, "I'm ready. Lead the way."
I am on the trail, Source Hunter.
Hold! Our enemies have laid a trap. Look out! I see a trap nearby.
Careful, I've spotted a trap.
There's a dangerous spot somewhere around here. Wolgraff spotted something.
there! A moment of your indulgence, if you please. You are the Source Hunter, are you not? The hero the whole of Sightseal is abuzz about. The talk of the town. The juiciest grape on the grapevine. Such a pleasure to meet you. A delight. No, scratch that. It is so much more than a delight. It is an intervention of fate. Yes, that's it. Fate has put me on this very spot so I may tell you all about a most intriguing opportunity indeed. Mendius, at your service. What is my profession? Well, I'll tell you what it used to be, and that is a man of medicine. But what does a man of medicine do but mend what has first been broken? I save lives, to be sure, but today I change them. Oh, it's not merely an opportunity. It is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to become better. To become the full extent of the promise that is locked inside of each and every one of us. So first of all, let me ask you this question. Do you...
Of course I do. How could someone in my profession not?
Quite right. Adventure is what we live for.
See here. You and I share the same passion. I never doubted it for a moment. The thrill of walking the unbeaten path. The rush of finding yourself in a goblin ambush, knowing you'll prevail nonetheless. Too bad your line of work comes with such measly recompense. Am I right? The wage of a mere soldier. Now, between you and me, tell me truthfully, don't you sometimes wish you could earn more?
Riches do not interest me much, actually.
Nor me. Wealth is but vanity.
Oh, but I know you're just being bashful. I bet that in your heart of hearts, your eyes water with joy when you discover yet another treasure during your travels. Even so, my friend, matters of a pecuniary nature aside, what is life without variety, without spice? To be a source hunter must get frightfully dreary sometimes. Am I right? All those orders. Investigate this, retrieve that, and at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? Wouldn't you prefer to call your own shots? Be your own boss?
It's better to lead than to follow. That much is true.
Better to be served than to serve. I concur.
Well spoken. Well said indeed. Life's too short to spend it doing someone else's bidding, am I right? Of course I am. And I could help you attain the dream. Enact the change you deserve. And that is exactly why I am here. Why fate has put me right by the door to the King Crab, so that I could meet you and tell you about the marvel that is the Fabulous Five. The invitation to join is yours. Grab it. Ah, the Fabulous Five. How I enjoy simply saying the words that describe the most illustrious and celebrated adventurers' guild in Riverlon. Our mission, to better the world. Our mantra, to better ourselves as we do so. To realize our dreams and cleanse our souls. You'd like nothing more than to enlist, wouldn't you? Of course you would. And you can. Of course, if you still have questions, I shall answer them to the best of my abilities. But if not, how about we get started? Of course, of course, of course. All you need to do is sign this waiver,
And just like that, snap! You're part of the family. All I need is your lovely little autograph. What do you say?
Join a guild. Better the world. Earn a lot of gold. Yes, count me in.
And me. May all the riches in the world be ours.
Marvelous. Magnificent. Oh, but what am I saying? Fabulous is the word. You may not realize it yet, but your fortunes, your very life is about to change for the better. So let us not dilly-dally. To business. Your first assignment is ready and waiting if you're ready and willing. What more is there to say, my friend? You are one of us now. A proud member of the even prouder Fabulous Five. Glory be, for glory has found you. Oh, it's a pretty straightforward task, this one. Now, in this town dwells a wizard. Ahu is his name, and he's a frightful eccentric. Scientific type, you know the kind. Favors reason over faith and all that. Not Fabulous Five material, him. His experimental weapons may keep a couple of skeletons away from the city, but many of his other researches failed, malfunctioned with tragic consequences. One of them was a big lumbering apparatus, a frightful automaton shaped like a giant made of steel. It was supposed to crush the undead by the dozens, piloted as it was by a trained legionnaire. But you can guess what happened. Did it become sentient? Was it cursed? Whatever the cause, the thing relieved itself of its pilot and headed north towards a network of caves. Now ask yourself, what if it comes back? It could smash the city walls and claim 100 lives before being subdued. Luckily, there are those in this world who belong to the Fabulous Five. The braves who eat such monstrosities for breakfast. Go, my friend. Find this wizard's abomination and claim your just reward from Mayor Cecil in the name of our hallowed guild. Easy money. They call the undead a problem, my friend, but those who know the ways of the Fabulous Five see no problems. They see opportunities. An enterprising spirit can wrench riches from cold dead rocks, or from cold dead full stop.
What's this? I found something.
The earth here seems to have been freshly fertilized and aerated. Obviously, someone has taken great care to maintain this gravesite. Are you sure you want to disturb it?
No, that would be an insult to the dead.
And a disgrace to whomever is maintaining this gravesite, too.
You step away from the grave.
Look out! I see a trap nearby. What venom churns within me?
Greetings, greetings. Oh, you are most welcome in my chamber. Customers rarely find me up here, but I do so abhor the hustle and bustle of the marketplace. That I am. I have spent more of my life on the road travelling alongside great caravans than I have in any given place in Rivellon. All of this earth is my home, for a few days or even but a few hours at a time, that is. You wouldn't believe some of the things I have seen. Oh yes, a city besieged by the dead isn't even remotely special to me. All the better that it isn't, for you and for me, because outlandish events lead to outlandish wares. Oh, but let us not discuss. Let us browse and barter. How gratifying to see you return. You are quickly becoming my favorite customer. You have seen them, have you not? Is anything amiss? A punch-on perhaps, yes. I have the blood of sorcerers in my veins, and between you and me, the blood of sorcerers too. The power of sorcery is so very alluring, you know. But let us change topics, for should hunters catch a whiff of my inclinations, they wouldn't hesitate to kill me where I stand.
You should be more careful, madam. I am a hunter, but as luck would have it, I am not a zealot.
And neither am I. Be advised, though, not to give in to your inclinations. Other hunters may not be so forgiving.
Gods have mercy. I talked openly about sorcery in front of a source hunter. What a fool I am. Thank you, O compassionate soul that you are, to treat me so leniently. I never have and never will really dabble in sorcery. On that you have my word. On my life, I swear it. How gratifying to see you return. You are quickly becoming my favorite customer.